Good morning, Wednesday, April 3rd. We're, far away from April Fool's jokes. They kept trickling in yesterday, but today we are talking about the ups and downs of last quarter sales, gender gap in EV purchasing, and Gen Z getting their hands dirty. So I like to hear.
Okay, real quick, before we get into it, I know I found my favorite April Fool's joke this year. It was the best one.
Okay.
Mr. Beast on Twitter announces he will no longer be streaming or uploading videos on YouTube, to which Elon Musk replies, "You shouldn't." It was great. The comments threads were just sublime. So yeah.
That's a good one. It's a really good one.
It's a great one.
Hey, everyone had their little thing. It's funny because you were
Welcome
trying to go
this
through the day
moment, right?
Yeah, trying to figure out like what to do, what not to do, what to believe, what not to believe, and the people that did it great did it real great. Michael Cirillo did it real great. So what announcement do we have today? What are we talking about?
Hey, look, all we got to talk about is the fact that the podcast that we recorded with Will Guidara is live right now on every podcast platform. You can find it in our Auto Collabs podcast. So if you just search any podcast platform for Auto Collabs, should come up, be the most recent podcast. If you want to catch the video version of it, because there's a little bit more dynamics in the way that we engage with him in the room, at 1 p.m. Eastern, that's 12 Central, that's 10 Pacific, on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and X, Twitter, will be streaming that podcast. So check it out. You're not going to want to miss it.
So good. So good. I can't wait to go back and listen to it again. Because when you're in the conversation, sometimes you miss some of it.
Yep.
And it was great. He did not fail to deliver. He will be with us live at a SodaCon this year in just 40 some days from now. We'll be in Baltimore, May 15 through 16. Check out the whole speaker list. Go to asodacon.com. You should really be there and come meet Will in person. After you watch the podcast, you'll want to meet him even more. All right, let's talk about some news today.
Let's get to it.
Clear the throat. General Motors sales dipped in Q1, which is a contrast with what happened with Toyota and Honda, who had robust gains, signaling some shifting market dynamics. GM sales in the U.S. faced a downturn, with only Buick showing an upward trend.
Oh,
Buick. Let's go. You're having a little bit of a brand identity crisis, but I love their new product. GM cited lower fleet shipments as a primary reason for the decline, though retail volumes also saw a 6% rise. So fleet down, retail up. Toyota and Honda had significant sales growth driven by strong demand for, get this, big surprise here, hybrids.
No way.
They're increasing inventory. Toyota sales were up 22% in March, with substantial increases across both car and light truck categories. Honda had a 15% increase in volume at the Honda division, with car sales outpacing light truck sales. Inventory currently sitting at 1.7 million new vehicles, up 39% from same time last year. Incentives are up 67% year over year.
Kind of funny how that works.
I know, isn't it? Just like just couple little buddy trends. They just go wherever the other one goes. According to JD Power, average new car prices are down to now we're under 45,000, 44,186, with only 16% of vehicles in March selling over MSRP.
That's good news to me.
It's all good.
I just think that's good for the industry, because I think we're
it's a tricky wicket, as they say.
Super tricky. Not much to comment on this except for the fact that Toyota and Honda leaning into hybrids, seeing significant growth, and just the fact that watch out as new car inventories continue to increase. I bet you we're going to watch that incentive matrix jump a little bit over 3,000 back where it was in pre-pandemic times. So you're going to be looking at those things changing maybe where people shop, right? The prices of a new car, the incentives available. All of a sudden you start to see used car buyers come back into the market, potentially as new car buyers, especially as you're trying to cover up negative equity. So just something like, hey, if you've had trouble getting people in equity situations into new vehicles, might be worth a call around to them again. Maybe there's an opportunity to get them in that car.
There you go. There you go. Well, here's one from Emerging Tech Brew. This is a source we don't use a ton, but great article. Talks about the gender gap in EV purchasing. Despite the growing appeal of EVs, a noticeable gap is existing in their adoption among women. This is driven primarily by safety and design related concerns, including things like range anxiety and initial designs for EVs being, really catering towards taller people. Kate Harrison, co-founder of Move EV, is working to highlight the need for the industry to address the disparities and create kind of a more inclusive experiences so that there is no gender gap. It's just a car, everybody. Range anxiety and safety concerns at remote charging stations are some of the highest concerns, which makes sense, right? People, and in the article, they talk about showing up at an EV charger late at night to have it broken and the feeling of tons of anxiety there.
What do I do next? Yep. Exactly.
Initial high costs are deterring women alongside a lack of awareness about the benefits of EVs. There's a lot of lack of awareness benefits, more in women than among men. So also initial designs like the original Model S was designed for a taller person. However, the Model Y is kind of making up for that and kind of catching up. Men comprise currently 67% of EV buyers, only 34% women at this point. So Harrison is emphasizing cost savings and environmental benefits of EVs, saying this is how we can get greater female participation by emphasizing these benefits, as well as continued education about the charging and the way an EV works generally. And so she says it's a collective effort to get more women driving them, more women charging them, more women feeling comfortable with them.
This is what I find interesting. We know a good amount of people, women communicating in the EV space.
Very much.
This lady, Elena, you've got Kate here talking through what this actually, what the education needed to get more women comfortable with this purchase path. I would also say that, when you look at executives across the board in these EV manufacturers, you just don't see the gender gap closed, at least from what I've seen in comparison to a lot of the legacy manufacturers, at least at the executive level. So I wonder if you always say whatever the leadership is, the team or the employee or the culture follows, right? And so you start to look at that as just a simple way for some of these EV manufacturers to bring more women into the executive channel, so that the communication is where would that participation come from, right?
It makes sense. I mean, you look at Tesla, right? Yeah. Obviously, when you think of Tesla, it just Tesla, SpaceX, right? It all is kind of a very male dominated feel to it. Yep. I know they've highlighted some women executives and women designers, engineers, in the past, but for sure, there's got to be a softer side of Tesla. Absolutely. Right. And you feel they're great marketers, right? They'd be able to pull that off really well. But yeah, that's a great point. The traditional, right? Yeah, that is. Well,
the one that kind of shocked me was hey, this is just made for taller individuals. It's more comfortable for a taller individual.
And I don't think that when I think of EVs, and they cited the Model S, right? That is a large sedan. But when you think of a Model 3 or a Model Y, it shocked me a little bit too. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see. I feel more of them are, it's perception though, right? It could be perception
about it.
I think it's more the safety. We'll have to see what our friend Elena Ciccatelli feels about this one. I'm sure she's got some thoughts and feelings. Speaking about people with thoughts and feelings.
Oh,
segue.
I love this story so much.
You had to peg them like that. Hey, so the allure of skilled trades is capturing the interest of the rising Gen Z, marking a pivotal shift from traditional college pathways, as competitive salaries and the incorporation of technology are making trades like construction, welding, HVAC, and automotive increasingly more attractive. As college enrollments are actually declining in their growth trajectory, vocational training programs are seeing a 16% increase, with construction trades and HVAC programs gaining popularity. The other part of that is that the actual median pay for these hires rose $48,000 to $48,000 last year, outpacing the $39,000 of professional services roles. So people that most likely have graduated colleges or in office settings, showcasing the earning potential. The article actually chronicled a 20-year-old gentleman, Tanner Burgess, who has recently graduated in a 9-month welding program, and said, hey, look, over a few years in this trajectory, I can see a clear path to 6 figures.
Yep.
It's a clear growth trajectory. I know what the next steps are. Familiar.
Automotive.
It makes a ton of sense. And automotive is all in this, like just the trade schools and the opportunity. I was
Career
thinking
path,
about this as I'm reading
training.
this article. I'm thinking, man, we've got a panel about hiring technicians at a SoduCon.
Yep.
Where the people on that panel are specifically targeting and engaging high schoolers before they get into the decision on whether to go college or technical school. And
Perfect.
like, obviously these people are open to it. So that's a great opportunity to kind of learn what others are doing to make sure that people are moving into the vocation of automotive technician. And the other pieces that we didn't mention here is there's a lot of fear around AI's impact on professional services and less of an impact on trade services as job roles. So
yeah, I mean that, and kids are smart, man. This generation coming in. I have 3 Gen Z kids, right? One is 17, one is 15, one is 12. And they think a different way. This young man that they feature in the article, Tanner, his mom says he's already thinking, I want to buy my first house by the time I'm 24. I don't have any debt. I'm off to the races. Like, talk about a dream scenario to start out like at 24 and be making 6 figures. And it's good to hear home ownership being a goal of a young man. It just makes me happy so much about this. It feels so good to be a part of the auto industry, who I think is really embracing Gen Z across the board, not just in the trades, but on the sales floor. Their love of technology, their like intuitiveness, their ability to talk with people and leverage technology. I'm optimistic on Gen Z.
Yeah, me too. I'm up on Gen Z. Let's go.
All right. So whatever you're doing today, look, go find some Gen Zers, invest in them, bring them into your organization, adopt them well. And of course, come meet some at a SoduCon this year.